reminds us that peace is possible. Say that again, peace is possible.
Well, let's now speak to Laura Blumenfeld, Middle East analyst and a senior fellow at Philip Merrill Center for Strategic Studies at Johns Hopkins University. Thank you for joining us on BBC News. So, Laura, just help us to unpack this agreement a bit more. So, Hezbollah is weak but still present in Lebanon. The Israeli army still maintains the right to strike Lebanon if it feels that this ceasefire is being violated. So, how easy is it going to be to implement this agreement?
Good question, because an agreement is only as good as its implementation. For the moment, it's a big diplomatic win for President Biden. He was able to de-link the Lebanon war from the Gaza war. So big picture, it's the thing we're going to sit around the Thanksgiving table saying we're grateful for. Although we are worried it could fall apart by Christmas, because it's all about implementation. And what's different here than in 2006 is the United States has taken on responsibility. They're going to be the keepers of the peace for that mechanism. The other thing that perhaps we can hold on to as a symbol of hope is that 2006 is very different. The Hezbollah then is different than the Hezbollah today. The leadership, according to one American official, is unrecognizable in Hezbollah, and their stockpile, that awful arsenal, has been reduced by 70%.
And President Biden has said he will continue to push for a ceasefire in Gaza as well, and he said there'll be renewed efforts towards that. Can he really achieve a similar deal in Gaza?
Yeah, it was a fascinating kind of bold 8-minute speech. It kind of showed that this lame duck has some wind beneath his wings. He did broaden out from Lebanon, saying that he can have a ceasefire in both Gaza and perhaps even achieve that normalization deal with Saudi Arabia. I think if nothing else, I wouldn't quite call it wishful thinking. It's setting the table for the next administration. President Trump is just radiating impatience. He wants to shrink the war so he can grow the peace. But at least President Biden can claim that he was the one who had the idea. You heard it here first in the Rose Garden.
And what do you make of the fact that this deal is being agreed at a time when the U.S. is going through a transition? How does that affect the U.S.'s role going forward?
I think it affects it quite a bit. I mean, it's no coincidence that this 60-day ceasefire, it's a period of transition where Israel and Hezbollah are moving out of southern Lebanon. The southern Lebanese army is moving in, just as Biden is handing things off to President Trump. It's an interesting period of exceptional leverage for President Biden. He's not thinking about re-election, so he can use that, and he is with Prime Minister Netanyahu, both at the UN, saying we may not. I mean, this is all behind the scenes, but I'm just guessing based on when I was working for President Obama during the last transition, that the United States may not offer that same kind of diplomatic shield to Israel, both at the UN and also in terms of keeping the weapons flowing. That's something that Prime Minister Netanyahu acknowledged. You know, Israel was running out of bombs, and Hezbollah was running out of leadership for Israel to target and kill.
Laura Blumenfeld, we have to leave it there. Thank you for joining us on BBC News.
Thank you.
Around the world and across the UK, this is BBC News.